Hey, what's up, you guys? Bloody Jacob here to bring you my weekly review of The Walking Dead on AMC. This week we've seen Season 7, Episode 10, which is called New Best Friends. I had worked till 11 tonight, so I had to watch the replay of the episode. Once again, I went into The Walking Dead this week. Not really too excited, I did enjoy the mid-season premiere last week, but sometimes I'm just not really in a Walking Dead mood. I wanted to watch more of Orange is the New Black or something, which I'm about to finish season 2 of, by the way, so be on the lookout for that review. Shameless plug over. Basically I went into this episode not really in the mood for The Walking Dead, just sort of watching it out of an obligation, to get it done. But just like the premiere last week, I ended up enjoying it quite a bit more than I expected to. So I just gotta keep it in my mind that Walking Dead is still a damn solid show. And I really like this episode. I liked the premiere last week, and I think this episode might have been just a bit better in my opinion, because we sort of got a little bit more movement with the story. I felt like, in a way. Last week's episode was fun, but I just feel like we got a little bit more as far as character moments go in this episode. So it kind of felt a little bit more, energetic in a way. But I don't know, maybe that's just me. But whatever it is, I guess I just liked what I got out of this episode even more than the premiere last week, even though again I enjoyed the premiere. So, of course, the main focus of this episode was on, of course, meeting this new group led by a woman named Jadis, I think is how you pronounce her name. Jadis, I think it was something like that. I don't remember the actress's name, but, she runs this huge group in this, dump, basically. Literally a dump, okay? Or a junkyard, yeah. There you go. I liked her, I seen some people saying the group sort of came across a little bit too over the top, a little bit too cartoonish in a way. And while I can sort of see what they're getting at there, it was a bit, it did feel a bit like that for me too. But at the same time, I did kind of enjoy it. And I read that when this character, this leader, was being casted, it was open to either male or female. And I think, whether this character is a bit too cartoonish or not, I think the actress did sort of nail the kind of mannerisms or the way she chose to spoke and deliver her lines. I thought it was pretty good, for the style they're going for anyway. Before we talk more about what happened at the junkyard, though, we also had a little bit of time spent with Daryl in this episode. There's a decent scene of him and Morgan, disagreeing, of course, with Daryl sort of wanting to, sort of like Richard, he wants to be, sort of take action a little bit quicker. And Daryl just gives Morgan sort of that aggressive, I'm ready to shove you to the ground or just deck you in the face or something. And Daryl also gave a look of disappointment as well, he's disappointed Morgan for not sort of taking a more aggressive route. I'm not going to talk too much about Morgan this time, but again, I sort of get his perspective, the cost of war on both sides and stuff like that. But I think the threat is only going to get worse in the Savior's case. It's not going to get better with time. They're just going to be put more and more under their thumb if they don't do anything. So either way, they're going to live a life, treated like that with likely death when the Saviors get bored of them or they don't deliver. Or they can fight, maybe win, or go down at least saying they tried, instead of just sucking it in and, seeing whatever they want to do, right? So I definitely believe in fighting against the Saviors, but I do understand Morgan's perspective. But I do hope there's a moment this season where Morgan, finally takes up arms as well. I do really like Lenny James. He's a very good actor. But sort of the direction they've taken Morgan has sort of been a little bit lukewarm. It sort of fell a little bit flat the past season or two. There's been some good moments with him, for sure. But I'm looking forward to him sort of getting a little more involved again somehow, like another character flip or something, perhaps. We'll see. Hopefully something pushes him over the edge. I don't want him to die, though. I still like the character, but I'm just wanting them to take him another direction at this point. And then we also had some more time spent with, like I said, Daryl, and he went off with Richard, I think his name was. Yeah, we've been seeing more of him a lot lately. He's wanting to take action against the Saviors. And they're ready to set up this ambush. But the thing is, Richard's little ambush plan here, it actually ends up putting Carol in risk. She was actually going to be served as like this bait. They're going to lead him to the cabin in a certain way. And you can tell, once Daryl was told by Morgan that Carol went off on her own, and then Richard is talking about this secluded woman who probably just wants to die anyway, being used as bait. Even if it means her being, attacked or, possibly killed. Daryl picked up on it right away, and I like Norman Reedus' delivery with asking Richard who's the name, what the name is. Of course, he eventually says Carol, and the Saviors drive past, but Daryl tackles him down and keeps him silent when they do. So he sort of spoils that plot of Richard's there. Daryl also nails him quite a few times in the face. And then they have a little standoff, which is good as well. Of course, Daryl still really cares about Carol, and we also get our Daryl and Carol reunion, which is good as well. I like the acting from both Norman Reedus and Melissa McBride there. I'm still not a big fan of Carol, but I do sort of appreciate their development and what they had together, especially the development in like season 2 and such. So I've always appreciated their bond. And then I should also mention Daryl got his fucking crossbow back in this episode, which is good. Of course, Richard, hearing he's a bowman from Morgan, so, that was convenient, that's good. So I like that. I liked all the Daryl stuff in this episode. And then back at the junkyard, of course, Rick is tested, by Jadis, and he's pushed basically into this pit. And he fights this, sort of souped-up walker. It's a fairly tall one. It has, like, this spiked helmet with, like, these spears through it, so if, like, it gets up close to him, pulls you in, it could possibly, like, get impaled or cut or stabbed or something like that. So very dangerous. Of course, it had that armor on its head, too, which I thought was pretty cool. So sort of acted as, like, a way for Rick to prove himself. With it being, seen as their leader and such. And, I like that whole scene. Just the panic of it, also, like the desperation of the enclosed space and stuff like that. I like seeing how worried Michonne was. And Michonne still ends up helping Rick out, giving the advice to use the environment instead of trying to, sort of figure out a more direct way he uses the environment. He breaks down part of the junk, like the furniture, different things like that, just falls down on the walker, and, it's able to pin him down, and Rick is unable to stab it, around the head area over and over, so you probably got an angle on it into the brain, too, I would guess. I would have liked to have seen, like, more of the actual gore when Rick was killing it, but I guess they gotta cut it sometimes, I guess. I don't know the filming schedule or anything, but I just hope they're not going to, cut down the violence too much because of how sensitive people were about the... Yeah, we don't even need to go into that right now, but I still thought it was a cool scene. And, again, we sort of still have that positive energy in this episode, at least as far as Rick's side of things goes. It's just fun, it's like... Even Gabriel asks him why were you smiling? It's like someone asking Batman why he smiled. It freaks people out. So I thought that was funny. Gabriel is also pretty good in this episode. He said he was like ambushed by them, in the infirmary or whatever. I don't remember all the details of what he said, but I think it's possible that maybe Gabriel was actually leaving, but then he just sort of got held at gunpoint in the car, maybe. It was a bit confusing when they showed it initially, so I don't know. But I do like Gabriel's development as a character, so I hope he didn't just try to run off, but, it is what it is either way. And I liked when Rick's scene, they're acknowledging each other as friends, and how Gabriel led him there either way, so there's that. So maybe he was ambushed, maybe he was forced to leave. But I like that, and also Rick grabbing that junkyard, sort of art thing, reminded me of the Iron Giant. It was like this cat, he gives it to Michonne. I just like Rick's attitude. He's so confident, he's happy that he's gonna have these numbers. They make the deal with Jadis, bring them the guns to fight their war, and they'll do it. Soon though, but I'm sure they will. And it was just weird again, seeing like Rick smiling and almost like enjoying the process in a way, or at least happy to go about it, to reach that end, right? But yeah, so overall good episode. I liked it a lot. I rated last week's premiere an 8.9 out of 10. Going back, I might rate it like an 8.8 out of 10 though, honestly, and I like this one a little bit better. I don't think it's quite a 9 out of 10 though, but I'm going to give it like a very, very strong 8.9 out of 10. So yeah, I really enjoyed this one. Follow me on Facebook, Twitter, subscribe. I'll catch you guys next time for my review of Black Sails this week at some point soon, as well as, I mentioned Orange is the New Black and stuff, Season 2 review, so look out for that, and yeah, peace.